Good morning to everyone. Once again, we are at the beginning of a brand new day, and it is a day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. The email from September 29th, 2002, 7:48 p.m. has a title of just India. Sadhu Sundar Singh was born into an Indian family of high caste. And it's my understanding a caste is a hierarchy in the Hindu faith. I believe there's 4 main castes with many subcastes that can fall in between each one. And the lowest being a laborer, and I think the highest is as a priest or teacher. When he became a Christian and told his parents of his decision to follow Christ, they said, "You have broken caste." They immediately banished him from their home. It was the wet season, and the rain was coming down hard as he left his home. Clad in only his insubstantial Indian robes, he sat under a nearby tree all night, soaked to the skin. He felt so radiantly happy that he forgot any physical discomfort. He had the freedom to travel throughout the region, telling the gospel story. He became known as the Apostle of India. Once he went into Tibet, where he was arrested, put into a pit, and branded with irons. He bore those scars the rest of his life. While speaking in England, he said, "I'm going back to do what I have done. I am quite aware of the cost." Sometime after his return to India, he disappeared and appears to have suffered a martyr's death. Singh willingly moved from high caste in India into a servant's caste. Why? Because he believed that the best life this world has to offer could not compare to the promise of eternity in God's presence. Where will you spend eternity? I'm going to put a link to the Wikipedia article. I'm not sure if Wikipedia was available back in 2002, because I don't remember reading more about Mr. Singh. But I'll put a link to the Wikipedia article down below. And what I just read just barely scratches the surface of this wonderful person who went throughout India, through Afghanistan, and made visits to the United States even, I believe, to spread the gospel message. From the Wikipedia article, this is what he had to say. He concluded during his stay in missions that Western civilization had become the antithesis of original Christian values. He was disillusioned with the materialism and colonialism of Western society and tried to forge an Indian identity for the Indian church. He lamented that Indian Christians adopted British customs, literature, and dress that had nothing to do with Christianity and Christ. You know, I've heard it mentioned in the past that the Christians who spread the word throughout Mexico and the western United States that established the missions we now know as Los Angeles and others, that at times they could be brutal in trying to force the indigenous peoples that live there to conform to their way of Christianity, instead of conforming to their way, which is what Mr. Singh is making a point here for. And it's interesting that we believe in the Bible, but we forget in 1 Corinthians chapter 9 that Paul says this: "To those outside the law I have become like one outside the law, though I am not outside God's law, but within the law of Christ, to win over those outside the law. To the weak I became weak, to win over the weak. I have become all things to all, to save at least some. All this I do for the sake of the gospel, so that I too may have a share in it. God bless all those who go out through the world spreading the gospel, not as forcefully as our main Christian religions today, but in their native dialects and in their native ways. Thank you everyone for your time. Please read up on Mr. Singh. I'll promise you it's an amazing story. And with God's help and blessing, we shall meet tomorrow.